Super. Let's go. Right. Onegaishimasu. Okay, good. 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 We'll loosen up. Just again. Foot bounce. And just letting the feet find the ground, the heels go down a little bit smaller. Let the weight settle into the ground. And just focus on the feet a little bit, so let the body swing front and back, rolling the toes and the heel. And still focus on the feet, take it side to side, just play with the outside edges of the feet, rolling across them. And then take it into a rotation. Again, just playing with the feet a little bit, just play with the back foot as you rotate into it. Just leaving the ground, but just mobilizing in terms of the heel. And so the arms will wrap the body. And just play with a little bit of a downwards rotation and also a little bit of a reach up with it. And just mixing the two, sometimes staying low, sometimes going to stay high, and then sometimes mixing high to low, low to high. And then just settling the feet down, just in the middle again. Make it a little bit smaller each time. And dropping back into the center. Now just go to the opening, closing movement. And again, really focus on the feet, really allow them to mobilize. In and out. So that the hips kind of guiding the, pulling the thigh in, pulling the knee in, and pulling the foot in. and out. And then just allow the feet to find the ground, just take into a little bit more flexible pattern. And really bringing the arms into it, shoulders, head and neck. And then if you think rather than a, or if you think a kind of wave through the body, think also like really including the arms into it. So you can really allow the wave over the top of the head. Just a few here. Nice, kind of dynamic movement, bringing the arms up over the head. And down to the center there. Right, and then just mobilize freely a little bit, moving the body around. Just loosen out anything a bit tense. Good. And we'll just start with the feet in this case, so just rolling out the ankles, weight in one leg, change in direction. Shifting to the other side, one way. Change in direction. Bring the feet together, bending the knees. And then rotating, nice and tight. And changing direction. Okay. And then just lengthen back a little bit, pull the toes up, sink the weight onto the heel, pull the toes towards the face. And release them, bring the feet out a little bit wider, rolling the hips. And then change direction. Good. With the weight down in one side, just about rolling the hip, circling, and trying to really release the leg. And then switching direction with the weight. shake it out, press the foot down, let go one hip the other way. And change the other way. Shake it out. Widen the feet out, sink the hip down, and just play with the shift with the hip. And if that feels comfortable, think about kind of roll like a figure of 8 through the hips. You're kind of rolling one way, and then the other through the hip. So really trying to isolate a figure of 8 pattern with one hip and the other, like a kind of racing track. The hips. That's nice. And then just reverse the direction of it. So let's go the other way with it. Reverse it. That's it. You feel a little bit stuck somewhere, just kind of run over it a little bit, run back over it. Good. With the hands and the knees, pressing the knee away, looking over the shoulder. Just alternating the side every few seconds. And then just find a sense of press the hands in. Just think about the elbows lengthening, straightening. Lift the shoulders up a little bit. Sink the hips down a little bit more. Lengthen through the top of the head, all the way up. Good. And then just let the body face one way. So you're facing it. Think about lengthening through the back hip. And think about lengthening through it, but just play with a roll through that hip. So there's a roll that's going to happen in that hip. Play with it one way and another. Kind of focusing on that back hip. A little bit of length and just allow it to roll through. Find the center again, just sink down, get a little bit more. Keep the length through the spine. Shift the direction and a kind of long lunge. Find the length in the back hip and then just play with gently circling the hip from the back. One way and then the other way. And then one more, just coming back. Let the legs go a little bit wider. Just lengthen down. And then you just play with a very slight shift the hip. Yeah. And then just make it a bit bigger. Let the hip go really to the side. And just take it as low as kind of comfortable, not too deep. Looking to mobilize, really not really stretch. Good. Just settle one more time in. Bring the feet back together. Great. And then we'll just open the side of the body. Reach up one side. Take the body over. Couple of seconds. Roll back. Raise up the other side. Roll back. Raise up the other side. The other side. One more time, raising up. And one more time, to the left side. Good, making fists, taking the elbows back. Keep her bouncing the knee. Nice feeling of extension out of the elbow. Just use that straight arm here and just circling the shoulder. Make a little bit of a fist. Roll the one way. Roll in front. And then just release it back. Release the elbow, release the hand. And just let the hand gently come into contact with the shoulder, reaching up into the shoulder, spreading the elbows back. And then changing the direction, rolling forwards, letting the hands just come across the side of the face. And forward. Good. And then just taking one arm, release it up. Just circle back. And changing forwards. And changing the arm, holding back. And changing forwards. Good. Taking the arms across the body. To the side. And just gently tugging the arms to the body. Drawing it across. Releasing and to the other side. Take the forearm across the back, or into the back hip. Gently pulling away from the body if it's comfortable. Release it. Switch the arm. Bringing the fingertips together at the back, lengthen up into the chest. Edge the back of the neck a little bit. Release it. And then one more time, lengthening up. Come to the front, crossing the hands, thumbs down. Bring the shoulders really back into the body and then keep them down as you raise them up. And just go as far as you can keep the shoulder back. The body, if you can get all the way up, keeping the spine neutral. Just. And then when you've got to it, just hold that position. Take a nice deep breath. And then release it down. And then just go again, let the shoulders settle into the body all the time. Okay. Release it, switch the grip. And then same thing, let the shoulders really roll back into the body. Draw up nice and slowly. Rolling the shoulder back all the time. Just go as high as you can. Take a nice deep breath. And then release it all the way down. And then just taking the wrist, raise it right up to the top of the head now. Opening the shoulder up. Again, feels comfortable, just go into a little bit of a side bend, very gently. And it's as if you're pulling the hand up at the same time as you're relaxing this arm and releasing down. Lengthening retraction. Release it, switch the hand, pull it up and over, and then think about a little bit of a side bend, and then a little bit of releasing the shoulder of the pulled arm. taking the tricep, drawing the hand down the back of the neck, back of the spine. And with the other hand, just play with reaching around. So it can just reach onto the back and just reach around. If you feel mobile enough this morning, you can reach the fingers maybe. If you can reach the fingers, think about just gently spreading the elbows away from each other. Slowly release it. Release the arms. Take the other side up. The tricep. Find the hand in the back. And then again, just play with the other hand, reaching back. If you can reach the fingertips together, take them. If you can do that, just think about widening the shoulders a little bit, widening the elbows, sorry. And gently release it. And then last one, just taking both hands across and just play with bringing them onto the back of the rib cage. Then if you feel mobile this one, you can also come into top prayer position. And then think about kind of gently dragging the elbows back, very gently. If you've just got the hands in that position, again, just think about pressure in the back and then just gently widen the shoulders, pulling the elbows back a little bit. Just be careful with the spine here, the tendency is that it pulls into that position. Try and keep it neutral. A little bit, pulling the elbows back. Release it nice and slow. And just roll the shoulders out a little bit. Couple one way, couple the other. And then just release the arms out. Start with like a really loose hand. So it's like that kind of movement. And just really releasing the fingertips. And just play with releasing them down, releasing them away, forward, to the sides, to the back. Very good. And then do the same exercise, but make a really tight fist, and then keep it, and keep that kind of loose kind of quality with the arm. So the tendency now with making a fist is that it tightens up the shoulder, and everything becomes tight. Tight grip, really tight, but just play with rolling out the shoulders. The easiest position to try this from is obviously down, just kind of releasing the shoulders to the side, and just playing with it, but really, really tight fist all the time. And as you go through the exercise, just keep reminding yourself that fist is tight, 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 pull it in. But keep that sense of loosening. Once you've got it, just play with maybe like a kind of strike out, punching out. But the main thing is just mobility, not thinking really about power in terms of a strike. Just the ability to have a tight grip, tight fist, and to keep the rest of the body mobile. So, and again, as you go into it, just notice the fist might start to loosen. Just really try and find a nice full grip with it. Very good. Good, good, keep going. Nice, nice. Good, great. Good, good, good. Good. And then just think about releasing the hand out and think about a 𝘥𝑦𝘠𝑚 pattern now. So this kind of shape and this kind of shape. And again, just play with a little bit for a kind of soft movement. So again, the tendency in this as we go into this is that this starts to kind of tighten, especially in the front of the shoulder. So play with one where the hand is full, but this doesn't feel like it's really is locked up. So just play with it. Now think about just moving the feet around as well. So a little bit more movement with the feet. You can think about bringing the body forward. You can think about steps, and you can also think about rotation mode. But yeah, just keep going back to this idea of a kind of full hand. And it might feel easier at the first to kind of just play with one hand, because it's going to have a specific kind of movement, not one that we do naturally in that case. It kind of punches a really natural pattern. This one's a little bit not so natural. So it's sometimes easier just to play with one hand, and then feel you can kind of pass it from one hand to the other. You can also play with both, obviously. But again, try and play with a sense of a full hand mobile joint system. If you get a little bit stuck with this, think about sword work patterns that we do. So if you think about kind of raising patterns, you think about slicing patterns, 𝘭𝘭𝘢𝘕 and all these kind of things. They really naturally fall into that, those movement patterns of the sword. So. Good, great. Good. And then just play with one more idea, which is like a kind of pressure out. So you've got a contraction into the body and then a sense of pressure out. And play with pressure in different positions. Down, out, up, to the side, to the back. And just play with them. So you've got the sense of kind of compression down, really extension out. And then come back into the body. Choose another position and then go into it. And use just that shape in the hand as well there. And then find a new position. Find a new position, find a new position, and just think a little bit like extension away and really grounding down as you do it. Extension away, grounding down, and just choose a different angle each time. And just explore with the footwork. There's no kind of specific right or wrong with this. Just looking for that shape in the hand. Feel the ground underneath the feet. And the sense of the extension out. Yeah, good. So like dropping down positions are really great. Lifting up positions are really great. Pushing out positions are really great one. And you think about really like functional movements like pushing a car, heavy car, lifting boxes, all these kind of natural things we do. Or even just simple ones like pushing a door open. You're going to explore it with like one side and then both sides. And then the complex one is to do two things at once. Pushing two walls away. Pushing one thing down, holding one thing up. Those are complex patterns, but you can explore if you like. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, great, good. No. Good. Okay, and this is the same. I'm going to have to write this for Adrian, but this is the same exercise, but think about that position and think about pressure in now. So it's as if I push onto a wall, like it pushes back. So like this pushes back towards me, and just notice the structure in the body. So you have to kind of imagine this a little bit, because obviously, well, unless you've got something like this, walls don't generally push back. But think about that shape, push pressure back in, you know, that, and just think about really like reaching into the ground with this. But think about this shape, pressure back into the body and receiving it back. And just feel how that would kind of change. If you think about I think about like a heavy trolley full of shopping rolling back into that, and just the position of the body that goes like, not in the sense of bracing the body, like shit, but in the sense that I'm going to just soften into the ground and find it. I think maybe I might write it. So think about that shape of pressure back, like the wall pushes back. Something like that. Pushing there. Pushing there. Exactly. Exactly. That's it. Very good. Super duper. We'll come back to this a little bit at the end. Take a bokken. So, bokken. I have to get to Adrian. Adrian, bokken. Good. Got it. Go, let's see. So go to the first degree. In this case, just play with this, which is as you raise, think about one hand just a little bit more released and come up to this position. And then just do the cut as normal, but play with one hand, in this case, released in contact as you raise up, and you're playing with this motion now. So this to the back, and then just cut down as normal, but think about one hand released, raise, and the sense of it really being underneath. So it's just one thing to explore. The key thing with that is the kind of wrist mobility as you do it. So just choose one side to kind of release, and then think about slowly raising up. And down. Keep a kind of relaxed joint system. Just to explore that, especially in the raise, this kind of movement happening through the wrist. That's it. And it's obviously with both, but you can explore it a little bit more with the released hand. It's that sense of that's it. Nice. Good. Now keep both hands on the weapon really clearly. Think about the pressure that you've got in the feet here, and then think about the movement up, so the pressure down in the feet, and think about that releasing the sword up, and then down into the cup, and then that pressure in the feet, raising up, and the sword basically following that impulse. So keeping the hands nice and light, really emphasizing that grounding here, and then using that compression to raise the sword up. The tendency with this, with a lot of people, is they kind of press down and then lift up the sword. In that case, you just want to feel that the arms are free, and that there's just an impulse from the ground that I use, kind of hat, to raise the sword up. And really to enter into the ground, and then really use that to raise the sword. Very good. That's it. Nice. Good. And then take this to Zengo, cutting front and back, but look at that same kind of movement now. So you release from the ground, raise the sword up, and then drop it back into the ground. And again, think about that pressure in the feet, raising the sword up, cutting in, raising the sword up, cutting in. So it's the same compression with the back foot, but you're just allowing the hip now to find a rotation, and then release that. So it's really important now how you place the front foot as you cut, because that's going to be the base for the grounding, so that you can send the impulse down to the back foot. So with both of these, the back of the body, again, release the root. 3 now is about establishing the back foot as the anchor for the cut. Nice. Very nice. Okay, good. We'll play now with with Shiho, looking at 4 directions. Look for the same kind of compression. So you've got the cut to the back, again, finding the ground, release to the back, into the cut. And then the release now is going to be also with the hip mobilizing. So that pattern, and then into the ground. And then the last cut's basically the same as the second movement you make, and then just pulling back. So working with Shiho. Releasing San and Shi to the back. So cutting 4 directions. Very good. Great. We'll go now into 𝘥𝘢𝘦𝘢. So just play with on the spot. So again, that same compression now. The treble is into the front foot. The sword's going out circular and in here. So into the front foot, roll the sword around, and then into the 𝘥𝘢𝘦𝘢. So the compression now is in that front leg. Mobilizing the hip in, mobilizing the sword, cutting down. You try and really feel it use the impulse from the ground, or the grounding here in the feet, to raise the sword up. Drop back into the ground. Raise from the ground. Drop back in. Raise from the ground. Okay, great. Go to a step with this now. So you're going to do a step, but just do one step each time. So play with one side for a few steps, starting with the right side, and play with really entering into the ground here, and then release it. So we'll really focus on the first thing, again, that sense of sinking down, using the impulse in the ground to lift the sword. But the real focus now on basically landing the weight of the sword or of the body. Okay? So the focus not on the sword cut really itself, much more on the focus down of the body, basically landing the weight into the ground. So just play with one step, one cut, and then pull back. One step, one cut, pull back. And when you want to switch sides, just switch over. And just keep it one side. You might find that you feel a little bit heavier one side. Just listen to that. Really like down with the weight. That's that. Yeah, just play with one, which is like this. So sometimes make the cut, so you're here. Sometimes make the cut just as we've just done, that sense of this. And then sometimes be in position and just press out with the hand. So as if you're really like pushing, but again, really think about something in this sense very functional. What I don't want to do is like something like that, and the foot structure falls apart. So really find the kamaya, and then as you go into that, decide to push, drop it, and really feel you're in the ground. And I really need to be in the ground to do that. So or to do it well in terms of balance and structure and passing weight, but sometimes cut. And with that same feeling, sometimes just push out. So it's that sense of extension out. But again, just notice, especially weight down, as you kind of reach out. The more weight I've got actually in the ground, the more I can actually reach out and push. The less weight I've got, the more weak this is. So really something deeply rooted, but you're trying to find that emotion now, which is really tricky. Something really needs to sink low to be able to do that. And the push is a little bit of an easier pattern to find for the body. And the cut's a little bit more complex because of the raising. So. Very nice. Yeah, there we go. Okay, do two cuts now. So you're going to start with one side. You can start on either side, but think about getting weight down, weight in, and then take it to another cut, to a second. So you can do also the same thing. You can do with the push, play with this, which is you do the cut, and then the second one you can also kind of just push out. Okay, so mixing the two, either two cuts or one cut and one push as you do it. Okay, so play with both sides to start. You can do two cuts, and really the focus on the grounding, the weight down, or cut and push. And just give yourself a bit of time, especially the last cut, just to settle the body again. And just check things like, again, balance, centering, where's the ground? Weight do I have in the feet? You can explore starting in one side, starting the other. Very nice. Good. So we'll explore a little bit of a different pattern. Look at number 7 now with the 𝗧𝗪𝗞𝗜𝗠𝗨. So you're going to start at the left side leg to start. 𝘥𝘰𝘠𝘦𝘢 and then into the ski. So looking at 7. 𝗧𝗪𝗞𝗜𝗠𝗨, but in a very basic way, just starting straight away on the left side. Again, think about the impulse down to raise, sink into the ground here, and then release into that ski. So a little bit of a different pattern. Different position for the hip. 𝘥𝘰𝘠𝘦𝘢 really landing the weight, and then ski in the same sense, really landing the weight down into the track. So let's get into that new pattern, left side ski after the 𝘥𝘰𝘠𝘦𝘢. And then just play with a slightly different, which is the arm coming into this position. So before we did with the cut, that sense of like a push forward where the hips are in this kind of position. With the ski, you're a little bit more side on, so let the hand in this case come into this position. Okay, so it's a little bit more of an outreach. Also tricky for the shoulders, kind of find this position. That's a nice one to explore, but the pattern's going to be something like this now. Every so often, just play with this and then releasing the grip, rolling through and coming into this position. So the body's now much more side on. And you've got a sense of extension at the fingertips. It's like a kind of stabbing motion with the finger. So here, cut, sometimes thrust, and sometimes just go with the hand and allow the hips to, again, really find the ground in that position. So sometimes with the ski, sometimes reaching out with the hand. So not identical in terms of handwork to the ski, but a feeling of the body is what you're looking for. And then we'll do one which is very similar to that movement with the second ski. So variation on the ski. You find the strike here, and then this hand's going to release, and you come into this position. Okay. The real difference now, this hand's doing the same thing. This hand's going to make this pattern. Yeah? So this elbow is a kind of tricky position for the body. So now variation on number 7. You've got the 𝘥𝘰𝘠𝘦𝘢, and then release into the ski. So variation on the ski. Really, in this case, like a kind of threat rather than a full-on ski. But it has the potential to be. But that feeling in the body again is quite sharp. And again, the more I can ground down, release down, the more I can extend out in a comfortable position. And the more stretch I've got. Just watch one thing, which is in this case technical in terms of the wrist. Try and avoid something like this happening, where the wrist kind of kinks, something like this. Think about in this case it's like this roll of the wrist this way, and keeping the elbow kind of long. What I don't do is like the elbow drifts out into that position. This is a really weak position for the body. So think about the elbow being kind of draining down. So it's tight to the body. A little bit of a strange position, but what I need is like the wrist. It's like a bike, that kind of movement of the wrist, and at the same time I want the elbow to go into there, but I don't want that to happen. Something a bit more like that. Yeah. So just play with it, and just listen to the structure here as you do it. Something there. That's then a little bit broken in a sense of structure. Something needs to be flexible in the wrist to kind of achieve it. Pretty good. Good. Okay, we'll do one more. This again, you need to release with the left hand. Left hand, same swing. You strike on the right. Now you're not going to go with a ski. You're going to go with another cut, but at the same time you're going to release this hand. The sword's going to raise. Hand comes in this position, and think about the hips cutting in. So it's really a wedging position for the hips, and you've got a lot of pressure down now. So you've got this. You release the hand, and then you bring the hip in. Drop into this way. So this is a really great one in terms of weight down. Pressing down to the ground. So it's cutting in, right side, release, and then settle the weight down. Okay? The sword's a little bit close to the body, so it's a little bit tighter. And I'd really use this to wedge basically into an attack. Straight down that line and wedging through the body. So we did a nice one in terms of sword work, where we actually do have the hands separated in a wider position. Nice, nice. Oh. Awesome. Yeah, and the only issue with this one, it doesn't really matter when you do this solo, but try and avoid doing this as a pattern, because if I use this against someone with a sword, the first thing that gets cut off is my thumb and the finger. This gets cut. So as you do this, think about this hand's quite tight, and it's basically lined with that side of the ken. So I also don't want the little thing to kind of cross over there, but I want to create this kind of shape, and I want to really, in this case, protect the thumb. But if I go into that position and come down against the cut, then all this gets lost basically. So I want that kind of shape, and then I'm kind of wedging in from the side. Yeah, so it's like a kind of, it's the same kind of pattern. It's a very similar hand shape that I would use to strike like a 𝘭𝘠𝘦𝘴. You've got that, and then that shape, and it's just wedged onto the spine of the sword, but not kind of crossing over. That's one of those things you do once with someone, and then you go, oh, that didn't go well. Won't do that again. Okay. Oh, I miss it. Damn. Yeah, we just loosen out the body a little bit. So span shoulder width. release the hands. We just start with the wrist, just rolling the walking a little bit up and down through the wrist. Release them out. Take it to the elbows, a little bit of a kind of lift. Feel the weight drain down. Roll in the shoulders. Like rolling and widening as well. And the other way, roll into the chest. Loosen the hips a little bit. At the legs, just let the weight drain down off them. And find the feet shake, breath out. And it's really kind of find the vertical through the spine, the top of the head. And just let the weight settle into the feet. Very good. Good. We'll have up right there. Good. Great. Domo arigato gozaimasu.
Domo arigatou gozaimashita.
Okie dokie. Thank you very much. Here we go.